right, folks, back in the Bossman show here with George Ivory from UAPB, Golden Lions out of SWAC Conference, Pine Bluff, Arkansas, to be exact. Coach, what's up with you guys over there in Pine Bluff, man?
And we just trying to stay safe, man, and don't get this academic straight. And we had a voter registration together this past week for the athletic department. We thought that went well. So we just trying to stay involved in the community.
Well, Coach, let me take you back to March. That was my birthday, March 11th, when everything went crazy. I was at the Atlanta Hawks game, and they told me the season was suspended. And so, were you guys in Birmingham when that all went down, and how did you all deal with that, going from playing the SWAC tournament to having to go back home probably on spring break and try to get guys academically to stay on track after their back home to their own devices, Coach?
Well, one thing about it, we didn't make the trip to the SWAC tournament this year.
Okay.
But overall, we kept the guys focused with academics for the upcoming year, and we did a great job academically. Our whole department worked good with the kids when it finally hit and said that we were not going to be able to, the tournament was not going to be put on. So I think the biggest thing was, I think a lot of teams were disappointed, but we knew it was about the safety of the athletes and the coaches and the staffs. So, our kids had to buckle down and get a new way of really getting in here concentrating on academics. And that was our biggest focus.
Most definitely, Coach, your academic advisor probably played a big role, as long as your sister coaches as well, because, when the kids used to be on campus, going to class, and if you miss a class, you make them go run a hill or run a mile or something. It's punishment, but they're at home now. They can log in whenever. And I know they get on Blackboard, they didn't find out the grades, but how was that with the academic advisor and your staff to make sure those young men, while they're at home, about the accountability of you guys saying you're going to run for this, keeping them focused, man?
Yeah, and I think that, I take my hat out. We had a great group of guys when it came down to academic. I think this was the first year that we had over 8 or 9 guys to have a 3.0 GPA. And, and like I said, you couldn't tell them, hey, you missed that class. So we tried to call them at least 3 times a week and just make sure they were logging on and making sure they're doing what they're supposed to do. And these young men did a great job of doing that.
Most definitely. Now, Coach, how did you guys go about trying to tell your young men about, we both been their ages, and the 18, 23-year-old dudes, they like to go out on dates, go to the movies, go to the mall, and you know how that stuff goes. So how did you get them to understand that, hey, you gotta say no stuff you don't want to say yes to, because that no can save your life down the road. Because it can save the team's life. Because you never know how this thing gonna hit somebody. So how do you make them understand that, hey, you gotta say no right now, and you might want to do these things, but it'll be out later once all this stuff die down a little bit here.
That's one thing we talked about over the summer too with those guys. When you come back to school, we want you to be focused, and a lot of things that we could do last year we can't do now. A lot of dating and trying to, talk to this young lady and that young lady, or, we can't do it right now. And I told them, you got to be worried about your safety and your teammates' safety, your teacher's safety. So that's been a big thing we've been pushing with these young men through texts, messages. Make sure every morning you wear your mask, you got, sanitizing your hands. And so it's been big with us as a staff to make sure we send this message out every day to our young men, to make them stay focused. And sometimes we just ride through the parking lot. If I see somebody, hey, man, let's get it on. I blow my horn, cause like I tell them, we might can run, for this COVID if you ain't got that mask on.
Got that right. You got that right, Coach. And Coach, I know when I was back at home, the strength coach probably played a big role to get these guys to give them some kind of a shape, because everybody don't have a hoop in the backyard and go to a hoop or a park. So how's that keeping the young men in shape? Because I know you don't want to get them back to campus and they're looking like Sean Kemp out the lock out there.
Yeah. So what we did, he did a great job with them. We called them and we tried to push it on, like I said, through the phone message and text message, doing certain things, because a lot of their gyms was closed back home. And we talked to them about push-ups, jump rope, things that you can do in your yard, old school jumping the crates, jump a bench, old school things that we did back in the day. We was coming up. We have all this technology. So, we had to jump benches and, leg weights and jumping leg weights, so we went back to a lot of old school stuff with the young men, let them know how we did it back in the day.
And some bad stuff from back in the day is classic. Still works to this day. They all this technology, but man, that stuff worked good. And guys got the job done without all the massages and the ice baths we got today for sure.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you already know. And you know, Coach, I love the fact that you guys, man, the swag, man. I love the conference. Coach, I went to Tennessee State. We in the
Okay.
OVC ain't the same like it is in the SWAC or the MEAC. So talk to our fans in Atlanta about how it is to have that SWAC flavor going to a SWAC road game or a home game, and you guys league attendance. You always got good attendance over at Prime Bluff. So talk to the fans in Atlanta about SWAC ball and how it is a night of SWAC with the vibe and the environment of being around our great people, man.
Well, one thing about the SWAC, in the MEAC, I think that'll bring a lot of enjoyment, to see the black conferences. But when you talking about an event like what we do over here, our cheerleaders involved and our SID, they do a great job of getting everybody involved, from a regular DJ to a band, the Greek life at the game, to see them strutting and stepping on the side. I think it's so much enthusiasm going on at the ball games. It'd be, you have to stop people from asking, hey, can we participate at halftime? This, because, it's just a great environment, and we go on the road to the SWAC, man. We look forward to going to the crowd, and, it's just that atmosphere is so great.
Most definitely, and I say it's good because I say, you played in the league, and Lindsey Hunter played in the league at Mississippi Valley State, your alma mater. So it's cool to have two guys, coaching the league who played in swag ball. So I know you guys have a special kind of feel about it because you all like born and bred original OG swag ballers, man, for real, for real.
Yeah, and me and Lindsay, we go way back. Same high school coming up in Jackson, Mississippi. So, I worked at Jackson State. He played at Jackson State. So we go way back, man. It's just a family atmosphere. When you look at the SWAC, right now you had like Mo Williams at Alabama State. He's a Merrill graduate. Tamika Reed is a Merrill graduate, Jackson State with the women. Don Brown is from Jackson, Callaway. Wayne Brennan. So it's just a great time, man, to see all these guys involved in the SWAC now, to understand what they missed, especially the guys that didn't go to the HBCU, how we do it, how they say how we do it, how they swag and the swag is.
Yes, indeed. I said, thank God we're from Atlanta. I can go over to the AUC and go with Clark and, Spelman, of course. But I said, going to Tennessee State, man, I just felt like, we had a great time, but we go on the road, man. It was just so dull and dry, man. I'm like, man, I'm so bored. Like, I enjoyed football class. We played against the black schools, but we played like the little over there, like, man, this is, it's the whole vibe is different, Coach. You know how it is, man.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. It's a different environment.
Yes, yes, indeed. And y'all about to get even better when you add in Bethune and Florida A&M next year. So it's about to really be popping off in the swag. But the travel, Coach, is what gets me about the conference. It's already tricky. Then you add the Florida piece, Texas, Arkansas, man. Y'all spreading over the whole South for real, for real.
Yeah, and that's one thing we've been talking about in our head coaches meeting, is that the travel is going to be big, and we trying to work on some things where one year we might not have to travel there to Florida, and one year they might not have to travel to us in Texas. So I think it's going to be very interesting next year with them coming into the league, and I just think it's going to be a very exciting time in the SWAC.
And Coach, you've been at HBCU school, having a lot of young black men on your roster. However, you talking to your young men about, the social injustice right now. We had here in Atlanta again, in Clayton County, a issue here in Atlanta. So just 3 times this year in Georgia already. So how have you talked to your young men about, watching themselves, understand that, hey, you got to carry a little bit differently. What time take off your Pine Bluff, you're just a young black man in Arkansas. You got to really be safe and be vigilant of what you got going on, because even if you do everything right, Coach, it can still end badly for you, unfortunately.
Yeah, one thing we talk about is trying to do the right thing. I always tell them if they get stopped to pull it over, try to be manageable, and not be resisting anything. Cause like I said, still could pop off. But we talk to them a lot about that, and they talk about the things that's going on in this country. And I told them to make a difference, we have to get into this voters registration thing. We got to vote to make a difference. And they all got on the bandwagon. We decided to do this voter registration thing. And I was happy to see a lot of the athletes got involved with it.
Most definitely, because that's so important. It's so important for so many reasons, and getting those guys the mail-in ballots. I don't know, live in Arkansas, of course. Make sure they get the ballots requested from back home and sent off in time, because it's so crucial and key for you guys, man. For all of us, man. This is major, coach. You know, this is like really life and death right now for us.
That's right. You're exactly right. So, we all as, young adults, older adults like me, we trying to stay safe from the COVID and everything else that's social injustice right now. But, I tell these kids, if you stay focused, within that academics first, good things gonna happen.
And coach, tell us about some of your newcomers coming into your roster this year, coach. To some guys you want to spotlight for us. Our listeners can make sure look out for your guys when play gets started here real soon.
Okay, we have a young man about 5'8". We call him about 5'9", named Joshua Johnson from Phoenix, Arizona. Is going to be very, very exciting. He's going to be electrifying. If you can remember Jefferson that played at Texas Southern a couple years ago, he's kind of like that kid. Very exciting. Jalen Jones is going to be pretty good for us. So we got Tavon Johnson going to be pretty good from out of Houston, Texas, about 6'8". So we really looking forward. Then we had a lot of guys that come back from injury last year. It was the worst year we ever had for his injuries. We got 3 key players coming back, and one guy was preseason all swag last year, broke a bone in his foot. So we very excited about this basketball season.
And coach, how's recruiting via Zoom for you guys this time around? 'Cause I know some schools told me they're able to expand their reach doing it via the Zoom, saving money on the recruiting budget, which makes the ADs very happy, of course. And so, how was that for you guys recruiting via Zoom? They will get those guys face to face, but also the Zoom piece, to get some guys you wouldn't ever you get to talk to or touch, because you can show them the campus virtually now and get to them that way.
And that's one thing we did. We did a great job during the year of communicating with a lot of kids that we signed. We have been talking with them the whole year. And once COVID hit, we had to go to the FaceTime and texting a whole lot and just communication. And we ended up getting those kids. So that really helped us a lot during that time. And like I said, saved us some money budget wise. But, it just was a good time to really learn another way to communicate. Because, we had to talk face to face sometime on virtual FaceTime, because we get so much now with text, and I wasn't tech savvy at one time, so I had to learn really quick.
Same here.
Yeah. So it was a great time, man, to meet these guys and their family through that virtual time and show them our campus. We had to go take pictures and set things up, videos for the parents that want to see the dorms, just our campus period, which we thought we did a great job with that too.
That's what I got for you, coach. Is this, I know you guys in the swag, man, got to play these guarantee games, and we'll learn hopefully next week about what the season will look like. So if you got to move the dates back in the guarantee games, you might miss out on. So are you reaching out to other teams trying to play some games on the back end of that, and hopefully to make some money? Because we all know that men's basketball, football, and, women's basketball raises the money for everybody else at an HBCU school.
Yeah, and what we've did, with them getting ready to move back, we've made contact with a couple of universities that we think that we're going to miss if they move the date back. And we're trying to schedule some dates with them now within between that other time frame to keep that money coming in. So we just blessed, and we're trying to stay safe, man, and trying to win us a championship.
I hear that, Coach Avery. Coach, good having the show, man. It was fun to catch up with you, man. And we got to do this again real soon. I'll be keeping my eye on you guys over there in Pine Bluff for real, Coach. When you come to Montgomery, I might come out and see you guys play in Montgomery, because that ain't too far from the house either.
All right. We'll so appreciate it. Look for you.
All right, Coach. Have a good talk to you real soon now.
All right. Thank you very much.
All right, it's George Ivory on the Bossman Show.
Grab a hold of big breakfast flavor at Hardee's. Try 2 breakfast sliders for just $2.99. Get Applewood smoked bacon or freshly grilled sausage with fluffy eggs and golden melty cheese, all on a toasty little bun. Good morning, start at Hardee's. Available now for a limited time at participating restaurants. Tax not included.
All right, folks, back on the Bossman Show. On the Howard Bison head coach King Blakeney on the show with me. Coach, good to talk to you again. How's life up there in D.C., man?
What's up, Mr. Boss Man? How's everything going? Everything's good up my way. How about down your way?
Coach, it's been good. I'm enjoying my now 6-month vacation, so I'm enjoying that. I have been playing the guitar, Coach. Learning how to be handier now. So I was never home this much. So 6 months and 5 days of being home, man, I'm becoming more useful, I guess.
I understand. I guess that's, during this period, I guess picking up a foreign language and learning to play an instrument is a very productive thing.
Most definitely. And Coach, I want to talk to you. Man, I'll be real with you. On my birthday, March 11th, is when I found out the NBA season would be suspended. So you was probably in Norfolk, the MEAC tournament. So how was that when it came down for you guys? They told you guys we're not playing anymore for your young men who have put in so much work not to get a chance to compete for that MEAC title and having to go from on campus to virtual learning and keeping your grades up, knowing you're at Howard, a great school like that. So talk to us about that whole process for you for like March 11th on through all the shutdown, how that went for you and your team and your staff there.
Well, Postman, it was different for us, man. It was, we started to hear the rumblings a little bit. The NBA shutting down, the Ivy League tournament had been canceled. You hear other rumblings of other leagues that are starting to cancel, and we still don't really know what this COVID-19 thing really is. We're hearing about it, but obviously, being right now on September 16th, we're further along down the road right now. But at the 11th on March, we had no idea. I was walking around at that time. I had a hand sanitizer bottle because going through the handshake lines before games and after games and shaking the referee's hands, I just kept my little bottle under my seat, and I didn't know. I didn't understand that it was airborne. There was a lot of information that we didn't really understand and know at that point in time. So, we had played our first game against South Carolina State and won our first game. Came back the next night and played a really good North Carolina A&T team and had a tough loss against them. And, going into the press conference that night, someone had asked, what's next? And I said, well, what's next is, us understanding what this COVID thing is, and how we are going to be like the new normal from that point, because it was, you knew it was serious, but you just didn't understand the severity of it at that point in time. And the next day, I think, around 3:30, 4 o'clock, the MEAC tournament gets officially, the rest of it canceled. And we get a phone call from, our athletic director saying that, school was going to be postponed and everyone had to immediately depart campus as soon as possible. So it was a upheaval in the quickest form, for our guys and for our students at Howard, where it was just a sense of urgency. We had to, be off campus. So we had to really, I think, come together as a university, and our president, Dr. Wayne Frederick, and our athletic director, Kerry Davis, with their leadership, helping us, one, get back to campus safe, two, get all our players home safe. That was kind of the most important thing, Mr. Bossman, at that point in time, was just the welfare of our student athletes and making sure they got home and they were okay with their families.
Most definitely, because I know, like in Georgia, the case is still kind of high. I know DC had it kind of high there for a while. So let me ask you this: how's the cases in DC right now? Because I know that here in Georgia, we still have some issues with capacity at the hospital. Still not being reported as much, but it's still issues here in Atlanta for sure. How's it in DC right now?
Yeah, things have plateaued off a little bit, so that's a good sign. And, I think we really attacked it early on. Mayor Bowser, our mayor here in Washington, D.C., has done a great job with her leadership. And she's been, one of those talking figures on national TV, on CNN and MSNBC, and those national conversations about, major cities and COVID-19. And she's done a really good job. And we've had protests in Washington, D.C. We've had the COVID, and under her leadership and her administration, she's really positioned us to be able to move forward, I think, successfully in getting our economy back, getting our people back to work as safely as possible. And her leadership has been very, very well noticeable during this period in time.
And Coach, academically, how was it for your young men going from on campus to virtual learning? Because I know if guys aren't used to that, it's kind of hard for them. I know you can check for them on Blackboard. They miss a class, you can't run them. You can't have them go run a hill. You can't get on them like that, coach. So they're at home on devices. Mom and dad may not do that to them. So how is making sure the young men are accountable to keep getting the work done, keeping the grades up, and sound to do running hills at home for you, coach? How was that, man?
Oh, man, I had a halogen at everyone's house, man, and I literally would show up at like 6 o'clock in the morning and be like, "Hey, man, you better do your classwork." No, it was that's a great question, and thank you for asking it, because it allows me to talk about our academic support staff and some of the support systems that we have at Howard, that we have in place. And our student athletes ended up for the year at around a 3.0 GPA for our basketball team. So we're really happy and pleased about that and proud about that. We have an unbelievable student, assistant kind of system here by Mr. Paul Bowden, Morgan Fisher, Dr. Morgan Fisher and her crew. They do an unbelievable job, and they stayed in touch with our players. We had daily study hall still. Things were virtual, so it took them a while to get used to it. But, to their credit, they really locked in and finished up the semester on a strong note.
Oh, definitely. That's very important because, like I said, Coach, I think Howard's great at school academics. You have to be good there. You have to be on your stuff. So I'm glad to hear that your young man got 3.0, knowing the standard that Howard holds them to, because playing basketball in Howard is you really are a student athlete. You're not out there for basketball only. You're there to learn and play ball at the same time.
Yeah, no, Mr. Bossman, that's exactly right. And I think, U.S. News and World Report just came out this week and rated us the 80th best university in the country for our academics. So, kudos to Dr. Wayne Frederick and his administration, and the things that they've implemented and have done. I know that the school, when he got here, was ranked in the hundreds, and he's taken it year by year and has increased that university ranking and has gotten it lower, and now we're down to 80. So, let's see if we can continue that kind of trend and that momentum, and anything we can do and add as a basketball program to bring visibility and light to the university. We're excited to add those little things that we can add.
Most definitely. And Coach, also, another guy on your staff is probably important, strength coach, because your guys are back home. They're not in your face, of course. I have facilities there, so have to make sure the guys not just so far out of shape. So how time get them to stay kind of do stuff virtually, for as like running and at home and doing things in the yard, using bands, those kind of things where they can kind of stay in a little bit of shape, not maybe get to a hoop per se, but kind of do things you can do without basketball while you're shut down at home.
Yeah, boss man, honestly, one of the things that we talked about was that, we kind of left it up to the families, and we didn't ask them to do anything. I wanted them to be safe, because I was, as a parent, as a husband, as a man, I was terrified. For the first 3 or 4 months, I probably went out 4 or 5 times, period, and that was only to go to a grocery store. So if I was, very hesitant to kind of, I guess, start my life up again and ask, for me to start getting reacclimated to society a little bit, I damn sure wasn't going to ask those guys to start doing things. So, the NCAA had these rules and regulations that we couldn't really talk about or do Zoom workouts or do Zoom, anything like that with our guys. So, if their families allowed them to go out and do it, I didn't ask them to go out and do anything. I just wanted them to be safe with their families and keep them safe and keep their families safe for the most part. So, thankfully everybody kind of, did that. They stayed safe with their families. And, one of the things we noticed, we got back to school a couple of weeks ago as our basketball team. And, our guys were incredibly out of shape and still are. So those are things we're still going to have to work through a little bit as we move forward towards the season.
And Coach, on the Zoom calls, we've kind of had another pandemic too with social injustice in the country. You're sitting in D.C. We can talk about what's happening in D.C. and other around in Atlanta here as well with Rayshard Brooks, and this happened Saturday in Clayton County down the road from me, and also Ahmaud Arbery. So how are you talking about your young men about, hey, we took off your Howard Bison gear, you're just a young black man in DC or wherever you're from, because you have to really carry it a little bit differently. Because even if you do everything right, you say yes or no, so you can still unfortunately have a negative outcome for us. So how do you use this time to teach your young men about being a young black man to come up in this world, and so they can give them lessons for life now going forward from now on?
Yeah, we implemented 3 kind of initiatives for our program, and that's thank you for asking that. One, we started a student assistant fund, and when we talked about our students being displaced from campus, what the student assistant fund was, we did a 3-week virtual fundraiser where we had DJs that were virtually doing kind of gigs for us once a week, to raise money, and we did that with along with a merch kind of package where people could buy merch and also donate to this student assistant fund that we were using to help contribute to our students, not even our student athletes. And the fund is set up where students that were displaced, had to leave abruptly. Their families might have been put in a tough situation or challenge because of COVID and lost jobs or got behind in bills or whatever those circumstances were. This student assistance fund that the university had in place that we were able to contribute to would be able to help those students and student athletes. Second, we did a voter registration kind of situation with When We All Vote. And When We All Vote has been kind of like the most popular voter registration group since COVID and over the last 6 months. It's Chris Paul, Michelle Obama, and others are a huge part of When We All Vote, and people that have started that, co-founders have started that. So we were the first actually athletic team to jump on board and be associated with them, which we're really proud of. And our goal is to, reach back in the communities of color, young men from the ages of 18 to 25, and which is the hardest demographic that, to vote, that doesn't vote, and to see if we can use our platforms of social media to get those young men to vote. And the third initiative that we did, which was great to your point, was we did a speaker series, and we've had over 22 speakers so far. And what we did is we would have some of the most engaging and, interesting kind of speakers from our community and thought leaders and leaders. Xavier Williams, who's the highest ranking Black from AT&T, Grant Hill, one of the owners of the Atlanta Hawks, Paxton Baker, who's one of the owners of the Washington Nationals, Jerron Smith, who's started Unanimous Media with Steph Curry. We had Dr. Lynn Elmore, who's a professor at Columbia University, and Bill Rhoden from ESPN, and all the different books, $1 Million Slaves. And we had great conversations with these guys, especially during these periods of George Floyd, Aubrey Brooks, Breonna Taylor. Black Lives Matter. So during real time, we were able to have some brilliant and I think insightful conversations with these thought leaders to kind of, one, talk about it, but two, to get more insight and to have dialogue, to get whatever they were feeling inside of them out and to understand a little bit more what those things were that they were feeling and what those things were that we were experiencing as a nation. So it was a remarkable, 5 or 6 months that we were able to take and kind of, grow our players and also kind of grow our program in a way that bonded, I think, all of our guys in a way where, we were able to include some of our new guys and grow and come together as a program.
And Coach, let's talk about recruiting wise, Coach. How was recruiting via Zoom? I know you guys love to get to see people in person, face to face with them, and touch them, and see their families in the home. So, how was recruiting via Zoom? And is that something you'll keep going in the future? And did it increase your reach to get guys that you wouldn't usually get to talk to by using the Zoom and showing them the campus via a virtual tour rather than being there for an official visit there?
Yeah, we had to tinker with it a little bit, Bossman, to be honest. It was sort of an experiment, not doing it before. We've had a presentation pitch kind of when students came on campus, or kind of, the presentation that we would have over the phone. But, to do it virtually was something that we kind of had to kind of adjust to, but it was something that I thought was really beneficial for us. We could be in California, we can be in New York, we can be in, Denver, we can be in Phoenix, we can be in Texas, all in a day. And, that's something that if you're recruiting and going to do home visits, unless you got a private jet, you're not able to do those kind of things.
Right.
So it allowed us to be in many homes over that period, and I think touch more people and bring more awareness about Howard and Howard University's men's basketball program to a lot more recruits. So we felt that it was really beneficial for us, and would love to continue to do it, just to be able to touch our recruits, even if it's our weekly phone calls, just to reach out and say hello and check in on them and see how everything's going with them and their families.
And Coach, talk about the new class coming in. A lot of guys you guys I know are already getting Mr. Maker to come with you. So discuss your newer class coming in here and what they mean to the program going forward as you get this Bison program up and rising some more.
Yeah, we have a large class that came in. I think we have 10 or 11 guys that are in this freshman class, or newcomers that are part of our Bison family. And it's obviously led by, McCord Maker, who is the highest profile recruit to an HBCU, probably since, I can't even remember, maybe one of the guys that did it at University of District of Columbia back in the early 80s. That might have been as, more decorated than McCord, but we're very fortunate and lucky that he chose us to continue his education and to play basketball at Howard University. He's somebody that's going to give us, I think, a lot of versatility and a presence where, our younger guys, it speeds up our program. It really does. We were able to get a transfer in Nogel Easton from Purdue University. He's a young man that started 65 games at Purdue. That's going to come in right now, and he's his impact on our program is going to be probably just as big as Maker or bigger. He's a guy that went to the Sweet 16 and Elite Eight. And I don't know how many guys in the MEAC that have transferred in have had a chance to play in the Sweet 16 or Elite Eight. So he comes from a winning pedigree. He's a competitive kid. He does think everything the right way. And, his impact on our program is going to be so substantial. We're really excited about it. We have Raheem Rara from Baltimore, Poly High School, who we're excited about. He's a point guard, an incredible playmaker. He can find guys in traffic. He can knock down shots and while he's open. He's a guy that won 3 consecutive championships and probably would have won a 4th if it wasn't for COVID. So we're really excited about him. We have a redshirt freshman that we brought in from DeMatha Catholic High School that's going into his 2nd year, but did not play. He's a 7-foot kid. He's a guard, really shoots it, puts it on the floor. Steve Settles his name, so really excited about him. Jordan Wood, young man from San Antonio, Texas, who's 6'10". He can play anywhere between the 1 through the 4, so we're excited about him. We just brought in a lot of guys and a lot of versatility. We have Sam Green transferred from Drexel. He's a DMV product that played at Bishop McNamara, so we're excited to have him back. He's a grad transfer. He's going to bring some leadership and some experience to our program. Devin Richmond out of DeMatha Catholic High School was at Howard Community College and transferred to us. And, he comes from a winning pedigree at DeMatha, and his team won the JUCO state championship at Howard. So we're excited to have that kind of, I think, competitiveness and winning pedigree there. So we're really looking forward to this year. We're excited to have a chance to play. Our administration has given us a great opportunity to put us in a bubble right now where we go from their building where they're staying at to the court. And they're doing all their classes remote. So the guys are working hard right now and looking forward to the 2021 season.
And coach, speaking of that, I know in the MEAC you have to play guaranteed games to raise money for women's basketball, men's basketball, and football. Raising the money for the HBCU schools. We all know that. So to move the date back to the 25th of December, the 4th, whatever it's saying, what's the plan to kind of make up those games to bring in the money that you guys need to help everybody else around the university?
Yeah. Well, man, that's a great question. And you know what? We still don't know that answer to that. We're figuring that out on a day-to-day basis. I had that conversation with my AD because, if we go and play in South Carolina is a hot spot. So, we would have to go play South Carolina and then come back and quarantine for 2 weeks. We got Northwestern on our schedule, Big Ten game in the lovely city of Chicago on December 29th. We go play them, which is a money game. We have to quarantine for 2 weeks, and we start the MEAC, schedule on January 2nd. So all of those things are still fluid and up in the air. There's been several discussions of bubbles that are going to be taking place. One is potentially in Indianapolis, one in Houston, one in Washington, D.C., one at Mohegan Sun. So we've been in contact with several of those bubble situations and just trying to figure out what works best for us and the timing of the schedule. So right now, we're still up in the air with a lot of the different things on scheduling with our non-conference season.
Yeah, and also, coach, I saw some of the contracts, man. They look terrible. I saw the COVID clause in the contracts where if you play, it's this number with fans. If no fans, this number was paying for your travel. I said, I feel bad for you guys because, I saw some contracts from high major people here. You probably know which schools I'm talking about here in Georgia. I saw the contracts and I'm like, nah, that's ugly, So I hope that we can get it done without those poison pill clauses that are skewed their way only for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. You're exactly right. There's clauses that if we play with fans, it's X amount of dollars, which is a nice payday. You could say $60,000 to $80,000 or $90,000. And if you don't have fans in the stands, it's $20,000. So it makes a difference. And our administration, Kerry Davis, Mr. Davis, has been unbelievable. His leadership during this period in time has been, needed, and he's handled everything like a champ. And, his whole thing is that, we are about our student athletes' well-being, and, we should be thinking about more a regional schedule. Don't worry about the money. It's about the student athlete safety. If we can get the games in, great, but let's think about here in DC, we have American University, we got George Washington, we got Georgetown, we got Maryland. You can go out to Maryland. We have, University of Baltimore County, we have Navy, we have Loyola. So just in that plain 45-minute vicinity, we got 7, 8 schools around here that we can match up against, maybe play home and homes just to get games in. It may not be the traditional kind of year, but if we put our resources together and I think not leave the egos behind a little bit to make this a something that can be successful, I think it's something that can really work.
How much did you enjoy, Coach, year one, the MEAC, going through it? I love HBCU basketball. I'm a TSU grad, Tennessee State University. We're in the OVC. I think it's boring playing those OVC schools. It's not, I enjoy playing the SWAC of the MEAC because of the vibe it is. So how was it for you coaching your guys, man, going up the MEAC schedule, man, from down from Daytona up to Norfolk up to you guys, man? So how was it, man, year one in the MEAC with the tough coaching? No easy games in the MEAC, no matter what the record was. No easy nights. So how was that year one for you, man, going through that gauntlet there?
Yeah, it was difficult, and it's still kind of difficult to stomach a little bit. We were 4-29 on the year, and we took our lumps. But I understood that and knew that going into the season. We lost over 50 points through graduation and transfer before I was even hired. So I understood that it was going to be a difficult and challenging year. And the way that our president, Mr. Wayne Frederick, and Mr. Kerry Davis, they wanted to kind of build the program was through through the high school route and bringing in kids that are great academic kids, kids that love the game, kids that fit the mold of being Howard men. So, following that kind of blueprint, we didn't want to go older and do the grad transfer route or do the transfer route. We took high school kids and, had those guys playing, 25 to 30 minutes for us. And I think we, by taking our lumps this year, we were able to take a step forward. Now those young men have a year under their belt of playing experienced basketball. They've gone through the gauntlet of the MEAC, which is an extremely difficult league that doesn't get enough credit. We have some excellent coaches and some really talented players that are in the league. And, we're looking forward to competing against those guys this year and having a chance to, making a run at this thing. It's a really a great, I think, experience for our young men and very, very challenging in the MEAC. So we look forward to having this experience coming up this year.
Well, Coach, I'll definitely be cheering for you guys. I love the colors you wear because the colors will remind me of Tennessee State to a degree, the Howard Bison colors. So, I got to represent you. Hey, Coach, I need some gear, Coach. I'll wear your gear, man. I'll wear the gear. Send it to me, man. I need some swag, man. Some Howard swag, man. I need some.
I got you, man. I will got you. I got you.
Yes, indeed. Well, folks, it's King Blake here on the Bossman Show, coach of the Howard Bison out of the MEAC Conference. Support those guys and donate to universities. We'll help those guys out. They're doing big things up there in D.C. and the DMV for sure, people. Check them out. We out.
Sally Beauty's new all-in-one hair color kits make it easy to color your hair at home. Get everything you need to color for beautifully radiant results. Loved by professionals, open to everyone. Sally Beauty.
All right, folks, back in the Bossman Show. Friend of the show, Coach Frank Martin with me. South Carolina game, comes out of the SEC. Coach Martin, how things with you guys in Columbia, man?
Doing great, man. Just excited to kind of be back to normal. Campus, you got students and they're walking around. So town looks good again. And then obviously having our players in and being able to be on the court, it's what brings me a peace of mind. Because it's the only thing I do is spend time on the court with guys and try to help them grow and get better. So they've been tremendous in their commitment to working and given the circumstances, and their energies have been great. So it's still got to be real careful now. Don't misunderstand me now. We're still dealing with an animal that no one's known how to tame yet in this COVID stuff. But at the same time, it feels good to be around the guys and on the court and competing and teaching and having some fun.
Now, Coach, I know I want to ask you about your health, Coach. I know you said you caught COVID, so I want to know how you're doing physically and how you're recovering from that, and how's your health?
I'm doing great. I appreciate you asking. It was interesting. I was getting ready for knee replacement surgery, and part of the pre-op was to get the test done. For COVID, and my wife and I have been so careful with leaving the house and who we were around, and the last thing I expected was to be positive, but I was, and it kind of freaked me out. Thank God my wife and kids were all negative, but then you go into isolation for 10, 11 days, man. That stresses your mind, man. You got to be away from people, and and your own children kind of look at you like stay away from me, and understandably so, but it messes with your mind. And so that was a hard one to deal with, but that's behind us now. And so I'm excited, and I feel great. Never had any symptoms. So, knock on wood, I hope we find a vaccine and a cure for this thing as soon as we can.
Thank God for that. I knew when I saw it, it made my heart drop when I saw you had it, Coach, because I love you, and you've been great to me in the show, man. I was like, oh, my God, Coach Martin, guys, but I'm glad you're healthy. I'd asked Fig about you. He told me you were doing good. He said he had saw you, so that kind of made me feel better after Fig told me he saw you.
Yeah, he as soon as I kept it really private. Big reason I kept it really private was I didn't. My mom's been by herself down in Miami since the lockdown back in early March. And I didn't want her to stress, being in an apartment all by herself, stress as to what I was going through. So we kept it really private until I got out of the isolation and I tested negative, and then I told her, and then I went public about it. But I shared it with Fig, so Fig was aware. Fig's my man, so he knows every step I take. He's right there with me.
Yes, indeed, Coach. I was talking about off the air. I saw you March the 7th in Nashville, Vanderbilt, and then I went on my merry way going back to doing the NBA. Then on my birthday, March 11th, I got the text that the NBA suspended, and it was in Nashville getting ready for the SEC tournament. So talk to us about that, Coach. How was it trying to tell your team and then your young men that the season's over with for right now, and then having to go back home and then spring break and then going from on campus to virtual? How did you guys manage that spring semester there, Coach, knowing the unknown that we didn't know in March there?
Talk about crazy times now. It's when we got on the plane and headed to Nashville, that's when everything was starting to move for this COVID stuff. A lot of unknown, like, what is this? What are we dealing with? But we were at the hotel, and I was actually at the game, the first round games, watching Arkansas play Vanderbilt, and we were playing the winner of that game. And that's when the news broke about Rudy Gobert and the NBA shutting down the season and or at least suspending play. And then that night I went back to my hotel room, and selfishly I was worried. I was like, man, I don't know if I want to bring my team into a building to play a game. God forbid one of my guys gets sick or I get sick. And how about my family back home and my staff and their family? Were away from them. And that's when the news really started pounding on the severity of this virus. And but if we played, I would have shown up and, we would have coached the game. But we got a call that next morning and said, which was a Thursday morning, and the word was, hey, it don't look like the games are going to be played. Stay tuned. I got a call about an hour later and said it's off. And then it was just like pandemonium. And from that, not everyone freaked out, but trying to manage everything in front of us. And we got on a plane, flew back home, got home Thursday night, met with the players. That we had told the players that everything was going to be shut down. So we met with the team Friday morning. And by Friday night, all the players were back in their hometowns. And then away we went, and none of us knew what we were dealing with. And everybody just kind of on their own academically. Our school had to make a shift to online classes midstream. Our players had to make the adjustment because, there's a big difference between in-person and online. Definitely. Big difference. And you're trained to be in a classroom, handle learning and getting work done a certain way. And then all of a sudden that thing just flips on you from one day to the next. But our guys were awesome, man. We set a program record for team GPA over a semester, even dealing with this adversity, and which was a credit to our guys and our academic folks. But we all learned. We dealt with it and learned, and we're in a much better place now.
And Coach, for young men is in 18, 24 years old, I'm in my 30s. So for them to get this experience now, what life can throw their way. So all the lessons you've taught them as men off the court is coming to fruition now in 2020 in one time. You got to be responsible for what life throws your way. Your academics, got to get that done, your family, and basketball if possible. So I think it gave you young men some perspective going forward for sure.
Absolutely. I tell players all the time, the only thing that you're going to mess up is if you're not prepared for change. Change is coming.
Yes, indeed.
We all want a routine. Yeah, we all want a routine and be comfortable with our routine. But change is coming in what we do. And when change comes, we have to adapt and be prepared to manage that moment. And this year, the change was this COVID. It changed how we live. I mean, I'm coaching in a mask now. That's a different animal than I'm not used to that. It's you got to get used to it, but it is what it is. That's a change we got to adapt to.
Most definitely.
Our players went from, like I said, in person, like all 18 to 22-year-olds, man, they're living life, man. They're loving it. You remember what that was? That was a fun time of our lives, man.
Yes,
And all of a
indeed.
sudden it goes from living life that way to being locked up in a house and not getting out. And, so but everyone had to adapt and deal with the change. And I think I couldn't be prouder of our guys for the way they managed it.
And coach, for you guys trying to teach your young men about, we have all this social justice and unrest in our country, here in Atlanta, right in our backyard, with a few different bad situations happening. So how do you manage teaching your young men about what's been going on in our country with the police brutality, the racial divide we have going on? So how did you use the Zoom opportunity to teach your young men about this and how we can move forward from this as well and be better as a country going forward?
I've been talking to our players about that since 1985 when I started coaching in the same neighborhood I grew up in. This is not something that just started, 3 months ago. This is something that we have to constantly speak about, and that's one thing I do. I've always spoken to our team and our players about the good, the bad, and the ugly, and how to manage all three, and how to understand, how to take advantage of what is there, so you can make a better life, and the responsibility that all of us, because when you're in college as an athlete, you don't realize it at the time, but you're one of the few that's getting a chance to move forward.
Yes.
And it's so important that I speak to them about that all the time. Like, man, you have an unbelievable opportunity when you get to college to make it better for everyone after you, to empower yourself to make it better for your own family and everyone else that you can touch. And so I've been talking to our guys about all these things since I was a JV high school coach. And that's what I learned in my neighborhood. It's the way I was raised. It's the way living in my neighborhood. It's the way I continued to coach in that neighborhood. And so I'm ecstatic, man. I'm ecstatic that our players are comfortable enough that we can have these powerful conversations. Always. One of the guys I had incredible conversations about all this stuff was Sindarius Thornwell. Well, guess what? He was Player of the Year too. So that it goes hand in hand, man. Having the confidence to have these conversations and to grow and to listen, and it kind of goes hand in hand with having success with what you do in life. And so I think this is a great time because everyone's willing to express themselves and everyone's willing to listen. And what we have to stay in a positive place, because this is where I disagree with a lot of people. We're only a divided world, a divided country in social media. If we stay out of social media, we actually got people that are really good people and believe in each other. We just got to get some stuff fixed, man. There's some stuff that we got to fix, and it's not about hurting people's feelings. It's not about passing the blame game. It's about just being appreciative and having a little empathy and sympathy, and being understanding to the struggles, man. And then once we do that, be willing to address it and fix it. Now, stop talking about it. Stop trying to say all the right things, and then nothing happens. It's time to go fix some of these things. And so I'm happy because I really feel that there's movement and action going to go fix some of the things that need to be adjusted.
And Coach, I've been inspired because, thinking about my parents born in the 1930s, 1940s, they didn't have all their rights, Coach. I was born in 87.
Mm-hmm.
I was born with 4 rights. And so I know from what my parents told me as a youth and what my godfather tells me now, I feel like it's 33 years old. I have opportunity to affect change, affect people positively here in Atlanta and beyond using this radio show I have, I've been blessed with. So I've been inspired, Coach, to do more than I have done in the past, so I really want to help be a part of the change and solution going forward, Coach. And I feel like it's opportunities for us all to come together as one and make the right changes that we should have been done years ago and get it done talking about school. We're closer than people think we are. It's not that far away on either side.
There you go.
We're not that far away. We just got to talk about those things and get where we agree on and working on things we don't agree on. But I feel like we can make something happen if we all commit to it, Coach.
Absolutely. We've come such a long ways from the way things were in the 40s and the 50s and even the 60s. Such a long ways from those days. But we still got a long ways to go. And the mistake that we all made is we probably just kind of see. I got this saying is whenever you're working to fix something, you can't stop halfway through the job,
Most
or the
definitely.
job gets twice as hard. And we kind of took a step back and just took some stuff for granted, and now the job's gotten a little harder, but that's okay, because I believe in the people of this country. I believe whether it's a Hispanic or a black or a white. I believe. I think about this one. This is the part. The greatness of this country is that people live different ways in different parts of this country.
Yes, indeed.
And we don't all live. You go to other countries, everyone lives the same way, same values, same culture. The culture of the West Coast is different than the culture on the East Coast. All you got to do is go to the rappers, and that'll tell you the
Yes.
difference just in that game alone. The way we live in the South, man, it's different than people live in the Midwest. And there's different flavors and different cultures within our own country. And we can't make people in California live life the way we live it in South Carolina. Just like Californians can't make South Carolinians to live life like they live it out there. But we have to be at peace to understand that we're all different based on where we live, based on our culture of that region, and based on the culture of our families and what our background is. And then be willing to understand each other and accept each other for those things. I truly believe in this country, and I believe in the people of this country. And we just, we're going through a moment. Hey, listen, I tell players all the time. Bossman, sorry, I lost you for a second.
Are you good, Coach? I got you.
Okay, I tell players all the time. There's nothing better than getting married. Staying married is really hard. It's really hard.
Right.
And there's days when you're married that you're trying to figure out, like, how am I getting to tomorrow?
Most definitely.
Because you got love in that marriage, man, you sit down, you talk with your wife or your significant other, and you have those conversations, and you get to a place where you realize, like, you know what? No wonder we love each other. And now your marriage gets stronger because you went through that moment. That's what we're going through right now, man. This country's going to be perfectly fine because it's got too much good, too many. Every time we got an issue in this country, a hurricane, a flood, a tornado, an earthquake, what do we all do?
Come together.
Yes, sir, man. Black, white, Hispanic, we don't care. We load up and we go help the people that were hurt. We're dealing with this right now, and we got to understand. The one thing that we have to do, man, is we got to be sympathetic and empathetic with the struggles that this country put black folks through for so many years. And if we can just be willing to embrace that emotion, then we can understand why there's frustration. I had a pastor, Pastor Brett Fuller, shared this line with me. It's as powerful a line as I've ever heard. Pain never chooses what door it exits through. And it's right. So powerful because when pain comes out, you don't tell it how to come out. It's coming out, and it comes out differently for different people under different circumstances. So, but it's keep doing what you're doing, brother, because sharing that love, it's the only way that's going to help us eventually get back to being just a great country that's made up of great people.
And Coach, for you, I know you guys love to get on the road and recruit young men. How was it to recruit via Zoom this time, Coach, and having to build relationships via Zoom and having to do virtual tours of campus via Zoom? How was that for you and your staff recruiting guys this time around?
I hate FaceTime and I hate Zoom calls because I see myself, and when I see myself, I see how old I've gotten, and it depresses me. But
Coach, you're still a good handsome man, Coach.
Oh man, I got no hair left. The little I got left is all white. I'm like, it's depressing when you got to look at yourself for so long. It's like, what happened? When did this train just run me over this way? But no, it's again, change. We've all had to improvise. We had to adapt. So we've gone from having to go to gym to gym to gym and then phone conversations to these Zoom calls. And we've had to learn how to show what we are, who we are, what our campuses are like, what daily life is through a computer. And we've had to make these adjustments, and that's on us. We got to adjust because it's what this moment has called for. If we don't adjust, you get left behind, and we've all had to adjust. And I've enjoyed it. I'll tell you what's happened. It's made recruiting old-fashioned in the sense that instead of being worried about just sitting in gyms watching guys play, we've been forced to actually build real relationships.
Most definitely.
And engage in real conversations rather than the petty, I offer you a scholarship because you can dunk basketballs conversation. We've been forced to express ourselves and show who we are and have deeper conversations with the players. So it's allowed us to not be worried about the one we think we can get, be worried about the one that we feel we can get because we feel that relationship. And it's allowed the players to really understand who's committed to recruiting them based on who's on these Zoom calls with them. It's made it more personal. So I think it's all worked out pretty good.
And Coach, talk about your class this year. You've recruited coming in some young men, the newcomers that you have. We help you this year as you guys get ready to play here in November here.
Yeah, we've got 3 first-year players. We basically returned our whole team. 2 of them are local kids. One's a 6'10", 250-pound center, Patrick Iriel, who can really run. He's strong. He's aggressive. Contact doesn't faze him. And then the other one is also a local young man, Javon Benson. He's 6'8", 250 pounds, but he's got 7'3" wingspan. And he's got some natural instincts for shot blocking and scoring. As those guys learn the speed and the physicality of college basketball, they got a chance to be real good. They both have the ability to shoot. It's just a matter of teaching them how to play at the rim now. So they understand posting and sealing and all the things that come, offensive rebounding, all the things that come with playing closer to the basket. Because, everyone plays pick and roll. So all these big kids in high school, they ball screen and roll, but, having to play near the basket is new to them. They don't really know how to play in there.
Most
so we
definitely.
got to teach them. But that's all right. That's all part of it. Hey, we got to earn our money, man. We got to teach these kids how to become a complete player. It's all part of the deal. And then we've got a young man that transferred from Missouri State, Ford Cooper, who's a 6'3" guard, and he's sitting out this year. But those are 3 guys we got coming in, and we're excited about 3. All 3.
And Coach, for the guys' conditioning, how are they looking so far? I know that it probably was at home. They couldn't really get to the hoop, and they had to kind of do stuff in the yard. So how are those guys looking so far as you can kind of get them back in a little bit of shape before you get to going here in October before the game start?
Yeah, they've been great, man. They were like in cages back in their homes and limited what they can do. And, we've got a great group of guys, man. They're competitive. They love being around each other. They love wearing our uniform. And as soon as we got back on July 20th, we got back to work. And, you had to ease them into it because it's been 5 months. So first couple of weeks were very, very easy. And next couple of weeks, we threw in more stuff. And little by little, we've continued to increase the workload. And we're flying around right now. We're competitive, and the guys have gotten back in the weight room, so their bodies have gotten stronger again. And it's fun to watch it. It's because I know what my mind tells me about what we can be and the kind of guys we have. And then for 5 months, like, everything got put on hold. And now all of a sudden it's back to fast forward again. And I'm starting to see a lot of the stuff my mind would tell me that we could be. So it's fun to watch it right now.
And Coach, the non-conference schedule-wise, I know you guys, they say they will start on the 25th. So does that mean more of the teams that's in South Carolina and North Carolina maybe to play those teams now to kind of make sure you have games going into SEC play in January? So how's that process looking for you guys right now, Coach?
Yeah, first thing we got to do now, which every team in the country is doing, is figure out their league schedule. Every conference has to determine how they're going to play their league schedule to keep the same number of games. And when to start the conference schedule. So then we know what the window is for non-conference games, and then how many non-conference games we can schedule based on how many league games we play. For example, the SEC, we played 18. Well, are we going to play 18? Or are we going to play 20? Or are we going to play 21? I don't know what that number is. So our conference has to make that decision, which then will allow us to determine how many non-league games to play. And then once that decision is made, the way I understand it, if you've got signed contracts, you can keep those in place, and away we go. And if you got contracts that are outside the possible dates, then those contracts can be put out for a year, and you can go replace it with someone else. So all those are things that over the next couple of weeks we'll have a lot more clarity on.
That's what I got for you, Coach. Is this for you? How happy are you seeing your young men in the NBA like, Chris Silva, PJ Dozier, and those guys are still going to playoffs there, man. So I know Chris is hurt right now, but how happy are you seeing young men you've coached have success on the NBA there and playing with the playoffs, deep into the playoffs?
Yeah, it was awesome. Whether it's once the bubble got going again, whether it's watching Udonis Haslem or Jose Juan Barea, two guys that one played for me in high school, the other one played for me when I was at Northeastern, or then watching Rodney Magruder, who played for me at K-State. And then the four guys from South Carolina, Sindarius Thornwell, PJ Dozier, Chris Silva, and then even Brian Bowen, who never actually played in a game but spent a whole year with us here practicing. He's one of us. To know that we had four guys that played for us here in South Carolina in that bubble, that was pretty neat. And and I tell, because it goes back to what I preach to players all the time. Everyone in life, we all get a job. The question is, can we keep a job? And all those guys I just mentioned, they figured out a way to earn their way into the NBA and figured out a way to keep their job up to this point. So that's I'm excited for all those guys because of that.
Coach Martin, I'm glad you're healthy again, man. You look great. I told you, Coach, I know you're going to be fired up, ready to go here real soon, man. I'll be definitely for to send you, whether it be in Vanderbilt or somewhere close. We'll definitely catch up with you again, Coach, for sure.
My man, I appreciate it. I might throw some Grecian formula on my hair, man, to make sure you recognize me the old-fashioned way.
Hey, Coach, it's all good. Hey, man, I haven't had a haircut in a week, so it's all we both in the same boat, buddy. I just got this hat on my head to cover up my hair. All right, Coach. Hey, I'll see you, man. Thanks for your time, Coach.
Appreciate you, brother.
All right, now. It's Frank Martin on the Bossman Show.